It was a night shrouded in the kind of darkness that seems to swallow the world whole. No stars, no moon, just a thick, pressing blackness that made every shadow feel alive. I remember walking down that lonely road, my breath fogging in the cold air, heart pounding like a drum in the quiet. The kind of night where your mind plays tricks on you, where every whisper of wind feels like a secret being told just for you. That's when I saw him, Jesus. Not like the pictures in old books, no. This was something raw, something hauntingly real. He stood there, bathed in a pale, eerie light that seemed to pulse from his very being, the kind of light that doesn't come from any earthly source. His eyes, oh, his eyes, they weren't just looking at me, they were piercing through to my soul. They held a sadness so deep it crushed me, but also a fierce, burning love that unsettled everything I thought I knew. He spoke, but not with words that needed sound. His voice was a trembling echo inside my mind, sharp and sorrowful. Why do you wander lost in the darkness, child? Why do you carry the weight of the world in silence? I wanted to run, to escape the unbearable truth in his gaze, but my legs wouldn't move. I was rooted to the spot as he reached out his hand, not to grab me, but to touch the part of me that was broken, the part I had hidden even from myself. The coldness of the night was gone, replaced by a fire burning beneath my skin. And then he was gone, like mist scattered by the dawn, leaving behind a silence so heavy it screamed in my ears. I stumbled forward, barely breathing, my heart shattered and mended all at once, and just when I thought the night had given up its secrets, I saw him again. This time he was farther away, standing on the edge of a forgotten graveyard where the earth seemed to mourn beneath the weight of untold stories. His figure was smaller now, fragile even, yet unmistakably real. He spoke again, this time the words a whisper carried on the wind. There is pain in the world you cannot see, battles fought in the shadows of the soul. But remember, love is the fiercest weapon of all. It can heal wounds no sword can touch. Hold on to that. His voice cracked, a tear tracing a path down his cheek, and I felt a wave of despair crash over me, mingled with a strange hope I couldn't name. The night seemed to close in tighter, suffocating and endless, but his presence lingered like a ghost, a blessing and a curse wrapped in one. I cried then, for hours, for all the pain I'd buried, for the weight I'd carried alone. His words cut through my numbness and laid me bare, and in that darkness I understood something terrifying and beautiful, that even in the deepest night there is a light that refuses to be extinguished. I never told a soul what happened that night. How could I? The world doesn't believe in ghosts or miracles anymore. But sometimes, when the wind howls and the shadows twist just so, I swear I see that pale light flickering, and I hear his voice, soft, broken, and full of love, reminding me that even in our darkest hours, we are never truly alone. The dawn was reluctant to come that morning. The night clung to the world like a shadow refusing to let go, thick and impenetrable. My hands trembled as I staggered away from the graveyard's edge, the chill of the earth still lingering on my skin, mingling with the fire that Jesus had ignited inside me, an ache that no prayer could soothe, no tear could wash away. I knew then that what I had seen was no trick of the mind, no desperate hallucination conjured by loneliness or fear. It was something far more terrible and beautiful, visitation that would haunt every breath I took from that moment on. But what terrified me most wasn't the vision itself. It was the weight of his words, the meaning hidden beneath the sorrowful gaze, and the whisper carried on the cold wind. There is pain in the world you cannot see, battles fought in the shadows of the soul. What did he mean? What darkness was I meant to confront? I wanted answers, but there was no map, no guide, only the haunting silence left in his wake. Days passed, but the world around me felt alien, like I was walking through a dream. People moved as if blind, deaf, and oblivious to the invisible wars raging beneath their smiles. I tried to tell them, friends, family, strangers, but words failed me. They looked at me with pity or disbelief, as if I had been swallowed by madness. And maybe I was. Maybe what I had seen was a curse disguised as grace, a burden that would crush me under its weight. One night, just as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky bled into black, the air thick with impending storm, I found myself drawn back to the place where it had all begun, the graveyard. The earth seemed to breathe beneath my feet, alive with secrets too heavy to bury. As I stepped between the crumbling stones, the wind whispered again, carrying a voice both distant and intimate. Do you understand now? It was him, Jesus, his form emerging like a spectre from the mist, fragile but unyielding, the pale light clinging to him like a shroud. I swallowed the lump in my throat and nodded, but the truth was I understood nothing. Why me? Why now? My voice cracked, barely more than a breath. What am I supposed to do? He looked at me then, eyes blazing with a fierce tenderness that made my knees weak. Because the darkness is rising, and the world needs those who can see it, those who are willing to face it. His words were a knife cutting through the veil of my doubt, leaving a raw wound of purpose that both terrified and illuminated me. The wind picked up, howling through the broken stones like a mournful dirge, and I felt the weight of unseen eyes watching, waiting. There was something else there, something darker than night itself. I shivered despite the fire burning within me, the promise of love and hope still flickering in his gaze. Not all battles are fought with swords, he said, voice low and urgent. There are wars within men's hearts, hatred, fear, despair. They breed monsters unseen by the world. You must seek them out, fight them where they hide. His form flickered like a candle struggling against the wind. But beware, the deeper you go, the harder it is to hold on to the light. Before I could answer, he was gone, leaving the cold wind to whip through the gravestones, carrying with it a terrible silence. I was alone again, but something inside me had shifted. The night no longer seemed just a void, it was a battleground. For weeks I wandered through the city's forgotten corners, places where shadows gathered thick and cold, alleys where whispered secrets festered, broken homes where despair had taken root, and the faces of those who had given up before their story was done. I watched, listened, felt the pulse of hidden suffering. And slowly, painfully, I began to see what he meant. The darkness wasn't just absence of light. It was a presence, a creeping rot infecting hearts and minds. I saw it in the rage of men who turned on their families, the hollow eyes of children stolen by fear, the silent screams of those crushed by grief. It was everywhere, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to swallow souls whole. And in the midst of this I heard the voice again, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce, reminding me of the light that could never be extinguished. Hold on to love, he whispered through the chaos, it is the fiercest weapon. But love felt fragile against such crushing despair. I felt myself breaking under the weight, the fire inside flickering like a dying ember. Doubt clawed at me, whispering lies that maybe this was all madness, that I was alone in a world too broken to save. Then came the night I saw him for the third time. I was standing on the edge of the river that cut through the city like a scar, the water black and cold beneath a sky ripped open by lightning. The rain hammered down, soaking me to the bone, the storm roaring like a beast unleashed. I was exhausted, hollow, and ready to give up. The darkness inside me was swelling, threatening to consume what little light remained. And then, through the storm, his form appeared, a silhouette wet against the lightning, radiant and terrible. His eyes burned brighter than before, full of sorrow and a fierce urgency. You must not falter, he said, voice carrying over the roar of the rain. There is a price for this path, but the cost of surrender is far greater. I wanted to scream at him, to ask why he had chosen me, why I had to bear this burden alone, but the words caught in my throat, drowned by the storm and the weight of his gaze. He reached out a hand, and I felt the fire inside me surge. Pain and hope intertwined, a storm within a storm. "Do not fear the darkness," he whispered. "Face it, and you will find the light that no shadow can hide." Then, just as suddenly as he had come, he vanished into the tempest, leaving me trembling and soaked, standing alone against the night. The days that followed were a blur of desperation and resolve. I couldn't rest, couldn't find peace. The city was a battlefield, the faces of those lost in their own darkness haunting my every step. I knew the war wasn't just around me, it was inside me too. The fear, the pain, the loneliness, they were my own demons, as real and fierce as any I had seen in others. One night, as I sat alone in a small, dimly lit chapel I had stumbled into, the silence was broken by a voice, not his, but a voice trembling with fear and need. A woman entered, her eyes wide with terror, hands shaking. She spoke of shadows that whispered threats in the dead of night, of a darkness spreading through her home, devouring her family's hope. I wanted to tell her that I was just like her, that I too was fighting a war no one else could see. Instead, I took her hand and whispered, "You are not alone. The light is stronger than you know." That night, as we prayed together, I realized what his words truly meant. The battles were not only fought in isolation, but in the hearts joined by faith and love. The darkness might be relentless, but it was not invincible. Each act of kindness, each moment of courage, was a strike against the unseen enemy. The war was far from over. I knew that now more than ever. The shadows would come again, darker and fiercer, but so would the light, flickering, fragile, and defiant. And though I have seen Jesus twice, maybe even thrice now, I understand that his greatest message was not a promise of escape from darkness, but a call to embrace the battle, to stand in the storm and fight, carrying a light that no shadow could ever snuff out. I carry that light now, heavy and wild, burning through the night, and sometimes in the quiet moments before dawn, when the world is still wrapped in darkness, I swear I hear his voice once more, a soft, broken promise echoing through the silence, hold on to love. The night will come again, and when it does, I will be ready